Hey, did you start your day today with a great bowl of cereal? Maybe some Frosted Flakes, some Raisin Bran. Do you know where that cereal is made? It's made in Battle Creek, Michigan. That's right. And they've got a great transit system there that is actually in a big transition. We're going to tell you all about it today on Transit Unplugged. I'm Paul Comfort, and I recently got to sit down with Mallory Avis, the Public Transit Director for the city of Battle Creek, Michigan, and Battle Creek Transit while we were at the Community Transportation Association of America, or CTAA Expo in San Diego. We sat down right out on the trade show floor, hosted by our good friends at TripSpark Technologies, and we interviewed her about something big happening there in Calhoun County, Michigan, and that is that they are transitioning the transit system from a city department to a transportation authority. That's right, the voters voted to do that, and they gave some money to do it as well. We're going to tell you all about that. She'll tell you all about that on this interview, and securing the additional funding they needed, and what the process is of changing a transit system in Serial City, America, from a city operation to a standalone authority on this episode of Transit Unplugged. All right, we're in San Diego at the Community Transportation Association of America's Expo. And I'm Paul Comfort. This is Transit Unplugged, the world's leading transit executive podcast. I'm excited to be with Mallory Avis, who is the Director of Transportation for the city of Battle Creek, Michigan, which is where we all get our Kellogg's cereals from, Mallory.
Indeed it is,
Yeah.
yes.
So we're actually at the TripSpark booth, right in the center of the hall with hundreds of people milling around us, so you're going to hear a little background noise. We love doing these live podcasts. Mallory, tell us a little bit about where you're from and give us about Cereal City.
Absolutely. So, I was born and raised in Chicago, moved to Michigan as a teenager, and going from Chicago to rural Michigan was a huge culture shock. So, went from somewhere where my grandma never had a driver's license, used the bus to get everywhere, to somewhere where a car is required to go anywhere. And your closest grocery store is about half an hour away. Transportation has always been in my blood, and I had the opportunity 6 years ago to go to the city of Battle Creek and run their transit department there. So we've made some major changes to our system, and we're excited about some of the things that are going on in Battle Creek.
That's great. So tell us about Battle Creek. All right, we got to dive in this, because as a kid growing up, you always hear, I'm getting my Kellogg's, whatever cereal I'm eating that morning. It's from Battle Creek, Michigan. So give us a story on that.
Yeah, so we are the breakfast capital of the world.
Okay.
Our city logo even, says Cereal City, USA.
Oh, that's cool.
Our first transit system was actually called Cereal City Coach Company back in the 1800s, the old interurban days.
Nice.
The Cereal City Coach Company transferred over to the city of Battle Creek in the 1970s, and now we've been known as Battle Creek Transit since, but Kellogg is still a staple, as well as Post cereal.
Oh, so Post is there, that's right.
Post is there as well.
Raisin Bran.
Yeah.
I love Raisin Bran.
Yeah, it smells like Fruity Pebbles some days, so I was the idiot when we moved there who, I walked outside and I'm like, what's that smell? Like, it smells like blueberries. And they're like, cereal? It's just the norm in Battle Creek.
A lot of people work in the cereal business, I guess, there?
Yeah. So we have a very large manufacturing industrial park. And so I would say manufacturing is our primary, and Kellogg's headquarters are there in Battle Creek as well.
Okay. Have you toured any places where they make it? Do they offer tours?
They used to. So I actually have, from when I was a teenager, I have a picture of myself on a cornflakes box. You could get a souvenir cornflakes box with your picture out.
Oh, that's cool, man. Yeah. Well, that's good. So what's your population? Give us some of the demographics, and then we'll talk about your system.
Yeah. So Battle Creek, the city of Battle Creek is just over 50,000 in population, so we're a very small city. Our county in total is more in the 130,000 range.
Okay.
So we have 4 cities, small cities in the Calhoun County. We run fixed route and demand response, paratransit, and then we launched a small microtransit pilot that kind of led to some big things in Calhoun County over the last year.
Wow. And I think the biggest thing that I'd love you to talk about today is you're in the process of changing from a city department to a transit authority. Tell us about that, Mallory.
Yeah, so when I came to the city 5 years ago, we were kind of told this is it. The city is looking to transition away from this being a general fund responsibility and fix this problem. And so that's what we did. We've spent the last 5 years really doing community stakeholder engagement, education, advocacy, and talking to the communities about what they need. We did a study in 2020 that demonstrated about 20,000 unmet trips per year. So we launched a pilot with the help of MDOT that we call PC Go. And that pilot, we were like, okay, 2 vehicles, that should be enough. We're going to meet the need that the consultants identified. They way underestimated it. So our first year of operations, we had 150,000 trip requests. And we only met about 22,000 of those. So we are not meeting all of the demand. And we used all of that data to engage the community and say, hey, let's start a robust, comprehensive, countywide transportation system. But it's going to cost you.
Yeah.
So we went to the voters last year and asked them to create a transit authority and fund a transit authority, and it passed 59%. Like the community spoke.
Wow, that's something.
Yeah.
When they did that, did they vote on funding?
They did. We proposed a 2.66 mils property tax millage. So that means it's roughly $266 per year for every $100,000 of value on somebody's property.
Yeah, so if I got a $200,000 house in Battle Creek, I'm paying $500 for transit.
Yeah, $500 a year.
And they voted 59% of the people,
Voted
understanding that, voted for it.
Yes.
They want better transit.
They spoke.
That's really interesting, Mallory. When we come back after this quick break, I want to ask you how it's been implemented and what the next steps are to actually start a public transit authority.
Hey friends, it's Paul Comfort, host of Transit Unplugged, and I've got some exciting news to share. Did you know that Transit Unplugged is now a hybrid podcast experience? That's right, we're not just in your ears anymore, we're on your screens too. Each week on YouTube now, you'll find a brand new version of our show featuring a video intro from me, plus behind the scenes photos and visuals of our guests when we record interviews on location in person. From transit centers to waterfronts and boardrooms, we're taking you there visually, adding a whole new layer to the storytelling. And the response so far has been amazing. Thousands of people are already watching and listening on YouTube, and most, get this, are watching on their TVs. So if you haven't yet, take a moment to check us out on YouTube. Just search Transit Unplugged Podcast on YouTube. Then hit subscribe and experience the show each week in a whole new way. We're making transit media more dynamic, more accessible, and more fun than ever, and I'd love to have you along for the ride. Now let's get back to the conversation.
We're back at the Community Transportation Association of America, CTAA's Expo. We are in San Diego, California, and it has been kind of a chilly day, a little bit, maybe 68. What do you think, Mallory?
Who would have thought that Michigan would be warmer right now than California?
How about
Southern California.
So right before the break, we were talking about the voters voted 59% to fund a new transit authority.
Yeah.
So where are you at in the process now, and what does that look like when you start a transit authority?
I think a lot of people take for granted the work that has to go on behind it. And we passed it, November 5th was the election.
Okay.
We passed the millage. And then I think people were expecting buses to be on the road November 6th. So, a lot of it is community education and community input. We have a board. The board is really working to make sure that the community has input. Some of these communities have never had transportation at all before. So I shared earlier that we're, 50,000, just over 50,000 in population. We don't have Uber. We don't have Lyft. We don't even have taxis, like private taxi companies.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So public transit is the only option.
That's probably why the voters voted for it.
Absolutely.
They don't have a lot of other options. Yeah,
they know. And so really, we're starting a business from the ground up. And we had to do everything from brand recognition. So we had to create a brand from, the ground up. And that brand's going to be called Ride Calhoun.
Is that the name of your county?
Yes. Yep.
So Battle Creek is a city in Calhoun County?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
So we're going to go from Battle Creek Transit to Ride Calhoun. And we're going to have 3 modes of service: RC, Ride Calhoun, RC Max, RC Move, and RC Flex. And so really creating all of those services, and now working on what do the legal agreements and arrangements look like for the transition of the assets. The experts already exist in Calhoun County. We're already there. We've been doing the work. And so transitioning all of that over to an entirely different governance structure, that is where the work really begins now.
Yeah. So what did the city council think of it?
I'm not going to lie, it's mixed. Obviously, it's political. There's some people who feel like they're losing control of transit and the decision-making related to transit. I look at it as now the people have more direct control, right? So we have to go for renewal of this millage in 4 years. And obviously, if we are meeting the needs of the voters and we aren't fulfilling our promises that we made, then they can choose not to renew that millage. And that's roughly $5 million a year funding that we're looking at.
What's your total budget?
The total budget for the system is $12 million.
Okay.
Our current budget for Battle Creek Transit is only about $4 or $5 million.
Oh, wow.
So, we're growing significantly, almost doubling the size of our fleet, and then serving 3 cities that previously weren't served before.
That's interesting. So you have a new board of directors?
Yeah. And it's a good mix of people. Really, we're lucky this first round of board members are everywhere from the president of the local community college to the chair of the local economic development firm.
Oh, yeah. Movers and shakers.
Yes. Local elected officials. And these people are doing it voluntarily, right? They don't get paid. And I think making sure the community knows that they're doing it because they're passionate about it, not because there's any sort of quid pro quo going on.
Yeah, that's good.
They care about mobility, and they understand the need from whatever their respective positions are in their full-time job.
Yes. So where are you at in the process and what happens next?
So we are expecting to fully launch Ride Calhoun by October 1st. So we are...
Wow, this year, 2025.
Yeah,
Okay.
We are in the thick of it. I have the honor of serving as the executive director for Ride Calhoun while also being the public transit director for the city of Battle Creek.
All right, now pause.
Yeah.
Do you get double paid?
No. No,
man.
definitely double the work, double the headache.
Okay, yeah.
Same paycheck.
Okay, all right. Are you going to need more federal money and stuff for the buses?
We are. We have been so lucky to have the support at both the federal level and the state level. So really for the last 4 years, we've been doing the pilot, RBC Go pilot, which was a microtransit system that ran countywide. So it was a rural microtransit demonstration to kind of see, would this idea work? And MDOT, the Michigan Department of Transportation, they funded that at 100% for the last 4 years.
Wow.
So capital operating all of it. And then now they've come through with kind of the funding that we need to transition, as well as FTA. And then we were very lucky to get some congressionally directed spending over the last year to help with all of the, I'm going to say, startup costs that go with...
Who's your congressperson up there?
Senator Peters. So thank you, Senator Peters, for the congressionally directed spending.
Great.
Yeah.
Where are you getting your buses? Are they going to be electric? What are you doing with all the bus kind of stuff? And how are you going to get buses so quick?
I know, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think people understand that there's not a dealership. You can just walk on a lot and drive away with a bus, right? So making sure the community understands that. The good thing is that over the last 5 years in Battle Creek, 70% of our fleet has been replaced over the last 5 years.
Good job.
So when I came to Battle Creek, our average age of our buses was 17 years.
Oh, man.
So when I came in 2019, most of our buses were between 2001 and 2006.
That's almost
years.
historic,
It really, they had 900,000 miles on them.
Wow.
And they had been passed down from several other agencies. So, it was one of those, we'll give you this bus for $1 kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so I had the challenge of we've got to fix our state of good repair situation right now. And so now we're going into this brand new authority with an entirely new fleet, funding for a new renovated facility, funding for a new CAD AVL software, funding for rebranding and marketing. We really get the chance to truly build it.
Are you in the middle of all that right now?
In the middle of all of it.
Wow.
Yeah, with 3 people.
A lot going on. With 3
my
people?
team. Yeah.
Who are they?
I have an operations supervisor,
Okay.
a maintenance supervisor, myself, and then I have a mobility manager who's really, kind of taken on a lot of the community engagement aspects of, making sure the public gets the chance to stay involved in this.
And what does that look like? What's the process of community engagement?
Oh, I tell you. So I'll give you a perfect example. I land back in Michigan Thursday at 5:55. I think
After
our plane
this,
lands.
yeah.
Yep, after CTAA is over. I have a presentation that Thursday night at 7 p.m.
Wow.
So, going to all of our city council meetings, township meetings, making sure that we are anywhere we are invited to be able to educate the community on what's happening, because ultimately they're paying for it, right? And they have questions about what's happening, where are we going, and when do we get to start riding these new buses?
Yeah, how about it?
Yes.
That's good. Well, that's wonderful. Congratulations to you, Mallory, on this.
Thank you.
Do you think it'll be started by October?
October 1st, we are, I actually met some great people here that are going to, we're going to touch base on wrapping the vehicles, rebranding everything. We get a chance to start fresh. I don't think very many communities get to do that.
No.
So we get to start fresh, a brand new transit system in a community that's never had this level of transit before. And our goal is to just do it right.
That's great. That's great. So wrapping up, give us a little bit about your personal life, if you don't mind, family, hobbies, any good books you've read lately.
Oh, yeah. You mean besides yours?
Oh, thank you. And I didn't pay her to say that.
Yeah. So I said earlier, I grew up in Chicago, and I think when you get moved as a teenager, you're always like, I'm going back to where I came from.
Yeah.
Michigan has grown on me. I think if you've never been to Michigan, Michigan is a beautiful, beautiful state, no matter which side of the state you're on. So, you know, I married my high school sweetheart. We've been married for 17 years. We have 2 beautiful children. I'm lucky I have a boy and a girl.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
My daughter's 4, my son is 2. And we get the chance to kind of be active in our communities. So my husband works at the VA hospital in Battle Creek, and we both get to kind of work in these pillars of the community industries. And it's really nice. Yeah, we're looking forward to raising our family in Battle Creek.
That's good. And what do you do like for hobbies?
Oh, work.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie. Right now, it's 2 full-time jobs. I've always been a workaholic a little bit, I think. So in the past, bartending was my hobby.
Okay.
Right? Like, how many hobbies make you money on the side as well? Now around a patio fire, I get to bartend a little bit for my husband and I. But really, our time is consumed with our kids. Right now they're little. We're kind of soaking it in.
Understood.
And then when we're not doing that, I'm working. When I'm not wearing the Battle Creek Transit hat, I'm wearing the Ride Calhoun hat. So.
There you go. Well, Mallory, you've got a big job still ahead of you all this summer and into the fall.
Yeah.
I wish you the very best. I can't wait to see what all happens in October when you actually make the transition.
Yes, you'll have to come check it out when we're done.
All right. Thanks again for being a guest on Transit Unplugged.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Transit Unplugged podcast. We're so glad you're here. My name is Julie Gates. I'm the executive producer of the show. And our goal is to create programs that promote the great things going on in the transit industry by providing you with behind-the-scenes access with industry executive leadership so we can work together to find innovative industry solutions. We would love to have you be a part of the Transit Unplugged community by having you sign up for our newsletter. Head to the show notes to find the link. Thanks for listening to Transit Unplugged with Paul Comfort, our favorite transit evangelist, and we'll catch you next week. Thanks for tuning in.